to Game 2 of this Best of 5 between Beyond Gaming and Hanwha Live Esports. I am still Penguin. He is still Dagda, I hope, unless an imposter's gotten himself in. You're looking a bit sus. As we come into this game now, obviously the Deaths talked about it. There were glimmers of hope for Beyond. Hanwha did feel like the much stronger team. I will say with a little caveat, not as probably dominating as I was expecting it to be.
Yeah, and I think that's what the desk was pointing out as well, right? Was that we actually saw these guys coming in and going, oh, well, yes, we will beat you in lane. The laning, by far and away, Hanwha's strong point. But when we got towards the map state, we were seeing like Doggo, who's trading up well around the map, and he actually got quite fed on this Aphelios. Fortunately, wasn't able to translate that into anything, but I still think there are opportunities here for Beyond if they're able to exploit how they play the map, and maybe that is the benefit of having both top laners here, is that, hey, look, they're used to playing on side lanes, they're used to trying to play with that pressure. Maybe they can try and out-rotate Hanwha, but it does rely on them getting a little bit more control of this early stage, and I feel like that's what's going to be lacking. So I'm curious to see what the plan is now going into Game 2 in the draft is, hey, do we get some of these more early focused laners that can support themselves coming into this mid-game?
And look, on Hanwha Life side, you did your job, you got it done. I am not going to try and, tell you in the world, Beyond should be coming out of this one on top. But it is, as I say, as Shock said on the desk, it is, I'm very much of the underdog story because I come from a little country, Ireland's small, and I like, the idea of that happening. So, but again, Hanwha Life did what they needed to do. They understood how they wanted to play the game, and like you said during the cast, they knew where those opportunities, and they had far more of them to be able to capitalize on just Beyond being, as we said during the cast, stretched too thin.
Yeah, and we talked about it, right? I mean, you saw Leong, who was on the Trinity, finding those moments to go up against Morgan, continuously finding plays against that. I honestly think, like we highlighted that Dragon fight as well, where we had the ultimate from the Aphelios, bit of a swing and a miss, but if that connected, you end up in a very different sort of mid-game. So I think there are lots of opportunities here still for Beyond. Like, the thing that we've been kind of harking on about a little bit over the course of play-ins is that Hanwha are not the perfect team. And when we're looking at it, them trying to move in towards the group stage, well, we want them to try and show up against Beyond Gaming, but we're still seeing some of those weaknesses.
Yeah, we really, really are. But we'll see now, as Beyond were the losing team in Game 1, they have opted into red side for Game 2. So prioritizing that little bit of a counter, getting themselves that little bit of extra information before they before they fully commit to what they want their composition to do.
Yeah, we're still seeing very similar stories here, though, right? You're getting the Lucian, the Shinjeo band away, prioritizing Husha and Doggo, and there again, the Lilia. The difference here, though, is Beyond Gaming, right? You get this Aurelia ban coming through, so not wanting to give that across to Chovy. So I'm curious to see if they leave the Lee Sin open for Willer, or if they're going to try and ban that away. Because you're looking at, okay, we're either going to get the Lee Sin or the Misfortune here, which either way, you're pretty happy with on Beyond Gaming side.
And well, right now, looks like it's going to be the Lee Sin priority. Going over to the side of Hanwha this time around will be Willer. It could go to a solo lane, but we are expecting that to be in the jungle.
Yeah, I mean, more than likely going to be going towards Willer. Crazy strong at the moment, just a good early game jungler that can help out your lanes. I think the Misfortune here is going to be best coming through for Doggo, and then you can try to pick something obviously for your solo lane if you want to here, but I also think taking an early jungler isn't the worst idea.
Not the worst idea in the world, and they're thinking about it. Looks like they may just lock that one in. Yeah, so we are going to get the assassin in the jungle now, a little bit more priority to get around the map quicker.
Yeah, and this works out a little bit better on red side because you can pretty much help yourself to 2 solo lane picks, right? Because you can take, say, mid lane on your next rotation here, coming in for PK, and you can go, right, I'm going to ban away some of the counters that we see towards this. You're already guaranteed to have a strong bot lane because you got the Misfortune there, and then you can hold your red side counter pick for top side or for the other solo lane that you haven't selected. So definitely giving that talent a little bit more breath of fresh air in that jungle, making sure that you're not getting suffocated by strong lanes that has a Lee Sin to play around as well.
Yeah, taking away the Leona as well. So this is the thing.
Surprising.
I was going to say, the big thing I think that we can take from the last game from Beyond was that they said, look, we need to be able to protect Doggo, and giving something that has such good backline access is definitely something they want to try and disengage from. But with Death going back onto the Misfortune, we saw it, thank you to Atlas, by the way, on Twitter, before coming into that game, it was an 85% win rate for Death. That is over his entire career, that is a huge amount of priority and just comfort you're getting with something that you clearly know how to play.
Yeah, that's absolutely insane. But I think the big thing as well is that you're going to be going, okay, maybe we go back towards the Aphelios. Maybe you go as Beyond, hey, look, this Aphelios was popping off and had the right moments. If we gave it the support tools it needed, maybe that's the way we try and play out this game. And It feels like if you're going to take the Leona, set up an Aphelios, look for two of these strong laners to play, well, to try and set up in team fights. Like we talked about Set, we saw Orin Hubbard in the last thing. Things along these lines, even a Camille if you want to, that can just go, right, we're locking people in place, getting the Aphelios into these team fights and allowing him to thrive.
Yeah, and I think the big thing as well, like you mentioned, is that having facilitating lanes that come into that. So even something like, hypothetically, something like a Twisted Fate, if you can, something that can just roam around the map and cause ruckuses and odd number skirmishes to just facilitate Doggo, because bless his little heart and soul, he's trying his best.
Okay, well, we're getting caught back up into Champ Select. So Amumu and this Misfortune set up for Deft and Vista, and then the bottom side, I mean, especially with Willard, this feels like you're setting up for definitely a couple of dives and trying to play around that bot side of the map. But there is the Kennen coming through for Leon on the top side. So certainly looking to see, hey, look, can we get a bit more of this this ulti game happening on the top side of the map? Although we have got a swap in junglers. No Talon, but a Viego.
Yes, so it was actually a little bit of a graphical issue. It was not the Talon that was locked in, so we are just swapping over to the other Champ Select, which is giving us the correct champions being locked and loaded. So again, similar style. You're looking to try and get that early skirmishing, but you are very reliant on your level 6.
Yeah, the big problem that I'm seeing though for Beyond is we're getting 80 carries, by the way, right? Ezreal taken off the board. I actually expected the Aphelios to be taken away here, but I suppose when you've got the Amumu, the short range 80 carry, not exactly the best, but here's the other short range 80 carry. I'm not so certain about this one. Like, the big problem with the Vayne is that, okay, yes, you've got the tumble to try and dodge away from some of the Qs, but you are incredibly short range. So the fact you've got to deal with a bullet time that can try and zone you out of team fights, and Mumu just running at you, even if he flashes in on top of you, can set you up for a pretty uncomfortable time. So we'll have to see exactly how Doggo's going to set this up, but I want to go across towards Hanwha as we're getting more lockup coming through for this Vayne with the Jarvan. Can go top to Morgan, great matchup in towards the Kennen, and now you can look to go towards Chovy, working back towards the Azir to play at range.
Yep. Doggo has played Vayne twice in his career, has lost twice in his career, so a 0% win rate, and that was back in the 2019 Springs playoffs of the ECS, so not exactly something he's, you know, well known for, but it could be something that can work out. You have got the Jace maybe locked in here for side of Beyond.
Yeah, I think it'll go mid lane here. I actually like this, right? You're able to play out range against the Azir, which is one of the worst things, but never mind the range. All right.
All in, all the time.
I'm a little scared of Beyond's comp, because again, it's like, hell yeah, all in all the time. Let's fight, let's go for it. But the big issue is that you're seeing a very short-range composition against things like an Amumu, an Azir, a Jarvan. Hell, even the fact that you got the Lee Sin that can just kick you out of these engagements. So I think Hanwha have a lot of responses to what Beyond want to do. But if Beyond can close the gap, if they can get on towards some of these key carries and Doggo is left untouched, I think that's the best way they can play at these fights. It feels like, again, we're relying on Beyond to find multiple different flank angles into these fights and see if they can find success that way.
Yeah, it is the Kled top with the Kennen mid. I will give a good shout out to Emily when we were theory crafting how this was going to work for the side of Beyond. They said the Kennen mid could be a very viable option for the side. We're well used to it in the LPL, Icon, but yeah. Icon is fantastic at it. But this is an adaptation that a lot of other regions would not be ready for. So again, I think Beyond have a very simple game plan. Whether or not they can execute on it's a different story.
Yeah, the problem with the Kennen, and the reason we don't usually see a mid lane, is his wave clear kind of sucks. Because you've either got to toss yourself head in first to see if you can clear that wave, or a little like shuriken pew pew from the back, which doesn't really do particularly much. So I feel like against an Azir, you've got Chovy, full control over this mid lane. I'm going to have to see if he can act that presence elsewhere, or whether he just wants to use that opportunity to poke this Kennen under tower and get a big advantage mid.
Yeah, a lot of scaling onto Hanwha as we go in. They are 1-0 up above Beyond Gaming, and they're looking to take another fantastic step towards that group stage. Chovy on the Azir. It's a classic of the LCK. You can't really say it's not. And I'm going to be keeping an eye on Willer as well, because he's now on something that can be a little bit more active, a little bit more engaging, rather than the poke niddly we saw in the last game.
Yeah, and I think he's got plenty of lanes to play around, right? Just Chovy, you're on your own, bud. You're going to control that lane. You're going to do fine. Look towards Morgan. Look towards Vista. And okay, no, we actually are going to get the swap. So I wasn't certain what way this was going to go.
Damn it.
So PK is going to be playing top. Leon going to be playing the Kled into the mid lane. Now, Morgan has rightfully gone for the summon Airy. This is actually something, if we're just going to continue shoutouts to people, we've already done Atlas, Emily, now I want to do Ender, because Ender is an old school...
going around the world.
Exactly. Ender No School Kennen player was talking about this when we were actually at the LPL finals and saying, look, when you've got this summon Airy, you can do a ton of poke coming through with your Q. You just outrange the Kennen with the Q on the Jarvan. You got that poke with the E as well, and you just out damage him every time your passive comes up off of cooldown. So Morgan going to have a wonderful time in this top lane. We've even saw from Chachi with the Conqueror yesterday. So I think now you got 2 winning solo lanes again for Hanwha, and all the eggs in the bot lane basket for Beyond.
I know it's not going to happen, but I like to entertain myself sometimes in these early stages before action actually happens. It's a Doran's ring on the Jarvan, so a little part of me is just like, AP Jarvan top? Just, I don't know, it's never going to happen. That's such a terrible thing to do. It has not been a thing for a very long time. But I enjoy the theory crafting.
Yeah, it's one of the things with this poke Jarvan style for the lane is you just run out of mana so quickly. So
yes.
Doran's ring giving you a little bit extra there, and that's kind of the whole shenanigans that we're going to see from that. Unless I'm completely wrong and Zonya's is coming through, I'm just like, oh god. But either way.
Speaking of oh god, Doggo gets exhausted, gets flashed in on top of him. He's going to be using his heal. But Vista, I don't think you can take this fight. The Ignite goes down. They're going to try and get this one back. Burst blood to Doggo. And now Kino going to try and get a little bit more off of that. He's forced to flash away. Oh, it's a disaster for Hanwha.
Look, Worlds is just not working out. Goes in is like, I got you. It's like, wait, I'm a lot squishier than this Leona. Vista ends up going down, and I mean, a nice quick kill coming through for Doggo in the early stages. We just said Beyond's eggs are in the bot lane basket. Well, there you go.
Not only do you get the kill, but you also get the flash off of Deft. No flash on Vista now. You have the Hex flash for Kino, and it only really costs you, your Ignite and your heal. But let's have a look at this, because Vista felt like he had it.
Yeah, I mean, you get a good trade onto Doggo, but I want to give shout out to Kino here, right? Because yes, you get this flash forward from Vista, but watch Kino's sidestep here. Vista trying to see if he can get onto Doggo. Kino just steps into the way of the second round of the bandage toss, and from that it's run for the hills for Deft. You're out of luck.
That's a big shift now in this bot side. Beyond going to be giving themselves a little bit of respite. It is still only 1 kill, of course. We got to see how the rest of the lanes go, because Hanwha definitely feeling a lot more confident in the rest of their solo lanes, considering they're going to have a lot more priority. But speaking of which, Husha just trying to see maybe he can catch Chovy off guard, but it's an Azir. With the shifting sands, you're never really going to be caught out in that situation.
Yeah, and I think Husha just kind of using his time wisely there as well, right? Still waiting for the Scuttlecraft to come up, just making sure there's no sort of funny business coming in towards the mid lane. Still gets Scuttle for himself, and might actually look for a play top as Morgan slightly overextended up here.
Just a little bit. It does have the flag and drag with the QE combination. We do have Willer now pushing in this bot side. You do not have heal for Doggo, but you do have flash. So Doggo trying to see if he can get this one going back in his favor. Double up will not hit onto him, but that's a massive wave, and Willer is just hiding around the corner. Kino, you're gonna have to try and play defense. They're gonna get the knockback, the flash away, nicely done. Vista takes the aggro, and they're gonna try and reset it again. They're still going on top of this. There's some good shields of Daybreak coming out. There is the TP coming in. Doggo will fall. That's gonna go down to death. Willer will get himself out, and they burn the TP from mid.
Oh, it's so late from Leon, though. He could have come down at the beginning of that. Okay, cool. You lose a little bit of that CS mid, but you're glad. At the end of the day, I want that CS. I want that survivability for Doggo in that bottom lane, but unfortunately now, you lose the mid lane for Liang. You will have Hush who's there to pick up the wave, but it was just too little too late for Beyond.
Too little too late. Just, again, you had so much time to pull the trigger, and they just felt like there was maybe a little bit of extra survivability in Doggo.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think you give up the play on bot side.
Oh, I think PK is going to die here. He's going to level up, though, so he gets a little bit of extra health, but these auto attacks, one more Q, even if he needed it. No, Morgan gets the solo kill up in the top lane.
Yeah, I mean, easy as you like. That's exactly the way the matchup goes, but now you're kind of losing it across the board, right? Beyond, Liang TP bot trying to save the play. He's now behind in mid lane. And then you're looking at the bot lane for Doggo as well. He just lost that big wave to the bot lane turret, so you're now wheeling back up for Hanwha and finding that 500 gold lead in the early stages.
500 goalie, and important enough as well. Deft got himself the kill. Deft was the one to pick that up, so that early blunder from the side of Hanwha is just completely mitigated now, and it's Beyond to find themselves back at an even state, if actually a little bit further behind. It's just not able to make it work, and Morgan now with that Cataclysm and the Iron Spike Whip, he's going to have so much kill pressure on the PK.
Yeah, this top lane's not going to go well. Like, from now on, you're just, especially with the Cataclysm there, right? The second you come in, you're able to get the EQ, you just chase down PK, the second he flashes, cool, Cataclysm, you're still locked up, you got nowhere to run to.
Now Willer just hovering towards this bot side again. We're seeing it time and time again. The way you take down this team is just focus Doggo. The rest of the lanes will do fine. The rest of the lanes will get their advantages on their own. And Doggo, again, he's trying his damn hardest, but there's only so much you can do when 3-4 people are on top of your face.
Yeah, especially with the wave in this position, right? I mean, Dev's going to keep you poked down. They got a decent freeze coming off here. And my biggest worry is you've got the TP burnt on towards Liang and PK, whereas you've still got it for Chovy, right? So set up this this slow push, in towards the bottom lane turret, and either you have Willer come in here onto the bot side, potential TP for Chovy, you can outnumber Beyond Gaming in the bot lane and force Doggo to either give up the wave or give up his life.
Well, Husha and Kino going to be spotted out on this ward, so Chovy just going to back himself up straight away. Has got the Emperor's Divide available to him, so not really in much danger. As I say that though, speaking of danger, PK going to be forced to use Slicing Maelstrom and his flash, and he has to lead the lane. That's going to be a massive wave crashing into this turret, and he's not going to be able to get any of it.
Yeah, but if you look at the cooldown game, right? I mean, Cataclysm, a little bit faster than the flash, just a smidge. So it means you're going to be dead as PK, but
Husha gonna try and see if he can get something going for. There is a flash onto Vista. And I like this from the side of the Hanwha Life bot side. They recognize immediately. Literally, the ward died, and they immediately backed up.
Yeah, and I want to see now what Beyond Gaming can do, because this seems to be the story of this game, right? Beyond Gaming, you're going to fall behind in the lane phase. Let's see if you can make these plays on the map to set yourself up, but might just hold on to this point as PK does move back up top side.
He's back up top side, but he has no flash, he has no ultimate, and he will not have a hope or a prayer if he gets caught out. Now he sees Willer and he's going to immediately try back up, but the ward jump is good. Flash into the Lee Sin kick, all you absolutely want. There's a nice shifting sand, but follow him over the wall, but back over you go. Knock him all the way back. Flash for flash, flash again. Chovy now finally getting caught on top of him, but there's two members of Hanwha Life coming into the top side. He's separated them out though, and they're able to go in with the Heartbreaker. Husha picks up the kill, and that's the kind of response we want to see from Beyond.
How many walls are these people going to get over? Like, god damn it, we chased it all the way from mid into the top lane. But bot side,
Dev forced to use the cleanse. We see Vista going in and exhausting as well. So 2 summoners for none. Great trade for Beyond.
Yeah, I mean, nice trade coming through, but I do want to go and look back at that top side play, because I was actually a bit nervous about how much Beyond were chasing, but now you're getting kills coming through, and I want to see Liang use this. The fact that he's now got a bit of breathing room in the mid lane, shove the wave and start to roam. You're on a Kled, you need to start working off the fact that you don't need a huge amount of resources to have an impact early, but we'll see it here, right? Chovy trying to get some poke damage under the terror, see if he can get that turret plate for himself.
Great
but
timing.
It was, but there you go, flash for flash. Liang comes over, and this is where it gets dicey, right? You've got Morgan and Willer here, but great heads up play from Beyond. Knocks Chovy over the wall, Husha can follow, and they manage to pick up that kill.
I'm going to say something controversial. Beyond Gaming, best blast cone team in the world. They have just 2 games in a row where they've just been perfectly placed around it and able to get things. Incredible. I will die on this hill.
I am ready for you to get, like, flooded with. Excuse me, here's Twitch clip 1, here's clip 2.
Actually, it's just like, obviously I'm having a little bit of a fun time with it, but again, just really smart awareness coming out from Beyond, and it's keeping them in line. Yes, there are still 2,000 gold down, but they are slowly finding themselves in at least responses.
Yeah, but hang on.
Morgan not really taking a lot of damage here from the Slicing Maelstrom. We got stunned up one more time and stunned again, so he's still waiting on his E to come back up, and that's a shutdown. Husha now 2-0-0. This Viego starting to stack a little.
Yeah, at least they're getting these kills on towards the more late game oriented champions, right? You've got Husha, who's been set up for success here, has the Rift Herald as well, so we can just pop this down and set up this Viego to be another carry alongside the rest of the team. But you do have to worry about the solo lanes, right? 37 CS coming through for the Clay. PK still not looking so hot, and 2 deaths to his name as well. So you really now are looking at, hey, what is the carry potential of Viego and Vayne? Because they got a lot of work to do.
They have a hell of a lot of work to do. PK, though, getting stunned up, getting kicked down. He gets executed. The tower will fall, and that goes over to Husha. Willer is now 1-0-2. You got to be careful, though, Willer. You're not quite got your Jarvan with you at the moment, but with the possibility of the rest of Hanwha Life coming, you can see Husha saying, look, I don't want to give over a kill.
Yeah, but it still comes out as a pretty big win for Beyond Gaming, right? You end up getting the turret, all those plates going towards the Viego as well. Plus, you got a little bit of a kill on towards Morgan as well. So, I mean, nice play still from Beyond. And Husha and Doggo trying their damnedest here. I think the big issue, though, is when we get towards team fights again, like, getting Doggo into fights is going to be tough. If Husha just ends up running face first into Vista and Chovy, he's going to be knocked back and not going to be able to find great successes. It feels like Beyond need to find ways to spread out these fights, make them into skirmishes more so than just straight up 5v5s.
That's a 60 CS lead in the mid lane between Liang and Chovy, so and the 2 turret plates as well, so it is just getting very, very obnoxious. You can tell. Yes, here we go. There's the bullet time into the Curse of the Stab Mummy. They're going to try and catch out Doggo. He does not quite get caught, though, because Kino gets himself in front of the bandage touch. Now they can maybe turn this one around. They're going to TP down on top of this, but it's been answered immediately. And Liang, you have no health bar, you have no economy, and you're going to fall. 2 kills going over to Willer.
I mean, he's only got the phage, he had half a health bar, and that's not going to look pretty again. Chovy just managing to get a bit of damage onto him before he left lane, and now Hanwha control bot side. They control the dragon, and this Lee Sin for Willer looking pretty scary.
Really, really is. And all these minions, all these turret plates going over the side of Hanwha Life. They're even denying a hell of a lot of gold. Husha thinking about it. Maybe if someone was a little bit greedy and going for the dragon by themselves, but Hanwha Life ain't going to let no steal happen. They're getting themselves in positions to reset and get themselves back on the map.
Yeah, and again, you've got already 2 turret plates gone in the mid and in the bot side for Hanwha Life. They've got 1 gone on top side, so you still have a lot of that gold that they can try and play around as well. And I like that we're actually getting Willer again playing towards these lanes, right? He's come in with a game plan, which is very much we're going to dictate the pace of bot lane in this series, and been doing a great job of it all throughout the series thus far.
Have a look at the replay here, and again, Doggo just takes 1 step too far forward, and Vista immediately goes in with the bullet time and the Curse of the Stab Mummy.
Yeah, and this is the flash that you need to be worried about, right? Because Doggo, you are incredibly short range, so always at the whim of that play. And when you've got Willer is able to follow up with depth, it's so easy. And Leon way too late towards his play as well. Chovy even following along with him for the ride. It just wasn't going to end well.
And that's the second time now we've seen the Leon just with these very, very late TPs. Xenoblade does not land. He's going to flash in. They're going to get the flash and the cleanse out of Def. But he slowed down just a little bit. There's the Gadem against the wall for Vista. The TP is going to be committed. That's going to be the Jarvan and the Cannon coming on top of this. Vista adding a little bit more time to this play. Cataclysm goes down. There's no flash for Doggo, so they're going to try and fully invest into that. Slicey melts him on the 3, though, as they're turning this one a little bit around. Hanwha Life cannot play with these helpers, but here comes Chovy, smacking Liang all the way back to the bank and getting himself a little bit more kills. Hanwha Life not quite done with this one yet. Now PK and Doggo left between a Chovy and a hard place. Chovy on this Azir has so much distance between him and the carries. He's going to be able to force them back off the turret. He doesn't want to overcommit. Never mind, he does. Shifting stance to get the stun down, but he gets the kill, and that is all that matters. There is the Make It Rain coming down with the bullet time. Hanwha Life Esports smash Beyond in that bot lane dive.
And they're able to chase them down so easily. Slows galore coming through from Def, the range advantage for Chovy. And unfortunately, PK and Doggo just have nothing left in the tank. So what started off as a great play for Beyond ends up with us at 11-5 for Hanwha. Still that 2,000 gold lead. And again, resets coming out faster so they can interact on the map.
You cannot cleanse a Cataclysm. You need your flash or you just don't get out of it. That is just how it is. And now Chovy, 2-1-2, has himself 126 CS. He is more than double that of his lane opponent in Liang, and he's well on his way to being that late game carry.
Yeah, it's just disgusting at this stage. And even if you look at the bot side for Deft, right? Kraken Slayer picked up. He's going to have that Essence Ray from the way as well. He's gone for more of that crit-orientated build. So these auto attacks are going to hurt, especially if you get that double up. But we're going to see it here, right? It's a nice attempt here, but Deft does a really good job of avoiding a huge amount of that damage. Willer's there to support him as well. And because you have Hanwha who are able to delay this fight for so long with League of Stopwatch, it means you've got the rest of the team who are able to come down, and Leon just cannot duel Chovy, which says a lot about how this mid lane has gone.
It really, really has. And in the Axe replay, you just see Chovy just kind of slowly closing in and saying, I'm here, guys. Like, it's no longer a 5v4, which is why Beyond found themselves in an advantage. It's now a 3v2, and Beyond just haven't got anything to go on it, and they end up being almost completely aces just because the death time was just so short.
And at least you can see, though, if this Vayne is able to get in on top of people in later game fights, she will be a monster, but I think it is going to be difficult to see her get to that like point where she can actually close the gap. This was Hanwha in those kind of skirmish orientations. Chovy, of course, the Emperor's Divide away.
Yeah, you get the Emperor's Divide out, minute and a half until the Dragon spawns, so might not be up and available. I think with the way that cooldown is going down, though, should be able to just have it before this Dragon spawns. And yeah, like you said, it's just so difficult right now. Deft is huge, Chovy is huge, Willer is massive. Like, everyone's gotten the kills, and it's all evenly spread out.
And look how terrified Beyond are. They're committing everything to this bot lane because they want to try and support Doggo, but you got Hanwha who are here. Meanwhile, Morgan's pushing top, could even just fall back over towards the Rift Tower and pick that up for himself.
Should be able to get this turret down very low. There's the curse of the sand bullet time all the way to the bank. They're going to commit there with a charge, but Doggo was tanking up the tower, so he had to back away, and it's just all falling apart. Hanwha Life are going to have their pick of the litter. Willer will take down the Clend, and that is just going to be so easy for the side of Hanwha Life. They don't need to go overforce things. They don't need to kind of panic. They know they are just stronger.
And they're winning both solo lanes, right? Morgan not involved in that. Chovy not involved in that. That was a 3v4 the Hanwha just won, and it's 16 minutes. Oh, Penguin, it's going wrong.
They're going for it, but these are the two Fed members, so Husha trying to see if he can do something here, but you're stunned up because of the bandage toss, and Doggo is going to be chased down. He's flashing away, and while that's happening, Chovy playing PvE saying, I'll take the mid lane turret, no bother.
Chovy's is just pushing mid. Doggo's gone with his tail between his legs. Morgan's still pushing top. I mean, this game, it was at least kind of looking a little bit in Hanwha's favor, but beyond keeping it somewhat touching distance, this game now that was blowing completely open. 6,000 gold lead, complete control of the map, Dragons in Hanwha's favor, and I mean, you've still got 3 minutes before the Rift Tower even spawns, and you're going to be knocking on tier 2s.
Kled doesn't have an item. Kled is looking at the bargain bucket, just kind of saying, oh, cool, I'll take a Phage. I'll be back next week when I can afford the pickaxe. And he's just kind of looking at the glass window of the, the gore drinker and stuff, and like, if only one day I will have enough gold to be able to buy you. He's just not a champion right now. And even, like you said, not even just from a gold point of view, you're looking at level advantages across the board.
Yeah, I mean, Liang's kind of the guy who ends up eventually getting the PS2, rocking up with his new game set, and realizes everyone's coming along with the PS3.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like, oh no, man, we don't play that game anymore.
No, it's over, it's gone, you know. But yeah, I mean, you're looking at it now where you got to kind of go, right, what is the game plan here? Because for Beyond, it feels like they're kind of done and dusted. The long range coming through from Chovy and Deft is very difficult to play with. We already said, hey, Vista is going to be able to set up really well to shut down Doggo, the short range composition. And Morgan has also got that kind of protection there with the Cataclysm to dissuade PK from getting involved, lock up Liang. I just don't really see where their opportunities are to try and find great success.
Exactly what you said, but it's a mistake. You need a mistake from Hanwha. You need them to several mistakes, but we'll take those as they come. We'll take one for the moment and then move on from there. But for Hanwha, they have no reason to overextend. They have the range advantage. They have, at the moment, the gold advantage. They're going to try and see if they can take out Chovy as they're just kind of hovering around this fog of war. They will land the stun. They're going to fully commit onto him and take him down. Shut down, importantly, goes to Doggo. It's those kind of moments you need, but while this is happening, you're still losing the dragon.
Yeah, I mean, how unfortunate they are coming through for Chovy, but it's not the end of the world, right? You've got the push, not going to be able to take a turret. You're trading up when it comes towards the objectives, and a kill right now for Beyond is not a big deal.
I mean, Morgan might have overextended a little bit. You will have the charge coming in as well, so they're going to try and get him away from the side of the Kled as it goes a little bit too far forward, but now Morgan very much overextended. He has got Willer with him. They are going to maybe look for this kind of turnaround. PK gets caught out, gets kicked into the Kled, and the Cataclysm. It's a beautiful bait. Willer and Morgan, perfect synergy, absolutely capitalizing.
Hanwha playing on that HD, and you're still looking at Beyond Gaming. The 480p is just not working out for them here as Hanwha, they're taking over. Morgan's gone back towards top to push it in, and now the rest of Hanwha will group up mid. You've got that Rift Tower we were talking about knocking on towards the tier 2, as Chovy is calmly continuing his nice little PvE as he just farms himself up towards those late game items.
I mean, he's getting a depth cap next. See, that is literally his next item. He doesn't need any special effects. He doesn't need any difference of, you know, as I say, I'm going to stop myself straight away. We're going to see Kino go in, but nobody's there to kind of go in with you. You cannot just go in 1v4 and expect to live. They can just keep throwing out abilities. Hanwha Life are just decimating right now. There's the Curse of the Staff Mummy going in as Death picks up a kill onto the Kennen. The Kennen now 1 and 6. There's the bullet time on the Husha to try and take him out. But Hanwha Life, this is 4v4, 4v5, and they're still absolutely crushing it.
They have just cracked open the first inhibitor of the game. You've got Morgan who's shoved in top. You're already Chovy if you just want to dip down to bot, has now controlled that lane as well. Beyond, these drafts have just not given you a huge amount of tools to find success in these games, and you're seeing Hanwha are happy to go and punish it.
I mean, it's a... Oh, TP coming in. Maybe they try and jump onto Chovy again. He does have Flash and Emperor's Divide. They're going to double TP onto this. They want to try and make something happen. This is it. This is your desperation play. TP going to be responded here by Morgan as he tries to jump in with his team. Chovy now finds himself with the Emperor's Divide. He flashes away and gets the shifting step. But they found Doggo. He's trying to keep himself alive. He's trying to kite. But 3 people are on your face, and there's nothing you can do. They now have 2 quick kills. Now it's all on to Husha. He needs to be the guy to change this fight around. He needs to be the guy to get these kills down, but you just cannot. Willer has stepped up. Willer gets himself a triple. Willer is looking for the quadra, and maybe no. Morgan, you ruined it. You ruined it all. They'll be able to finish off these kills and end the game, but Morgan, for shame.
I mean, he came from WE. The Star Guardians of the LPL with their power friendship.
It would have been a penta.
It would have been the penta.
God damn. And they're not even going to end the game. They're going to go back and get themselves fed up.
I mean, look at Willer. He even saw the little, oh, come on, really?
I'd be so mad. But look, I love it from Beyond. I honestly, I know they obviously got like 100% ace there, but you had to go for something. You had to throw a Hail Mary, and the reason why it's a Hail Mary is that, like, if God answers or not, we don't know.
Yeah, but sometimes, you know, you got to make sure there's a receiver that far up the field. And it didn't really feel like that was the case here for Beyond, right? They TP in towards that bot side. You just completely leave Doggo again, the guy that is fed in your team, the guy that you were trying to play around, and Doggo's just left there. He's got 3 people that have cornered him. They've all got the nets, and the dog catchers just sweep in and take him away.
And again, we're now looking at the game states. 11,000 gold lead in favor of Hanwha Life Esports Beyond Gaming. They're still in it. The game is still happening, and they are still picking up gold. And it's just going to be a Baron to start this one off. They haven't swept the vision just yet. So this is confidence, or is it foolishness? Because there's a big difference. There's a thin line as Morgan now finds himself on the side of this one here. They're actually just taking the Baron down to 4,000 HP, 2,000, 1,000 gone, done, dusted. It's a done deal. Now we got the big purple worm buff on the side of everyone. Doggo's auto-attacking a ward right now, so he's not really putting down any DPS. Willer finds Husha in the battle of the junglers, but the rest of Hanwha Life is here. We're going to see the Heartbreaker over the wall to keep Husha safe. Flash forward doesn't hit onto anything. Morgan looking for the Cataclysm. It's not on the Doggo, but there is the AoE as they absolutely tear through Beyond. It's all down to Husha and Doggo, and I'm going to be real. He looks more like a Chihuahua than a Rottweiler.
Yeah, he's kind of shaking when he barks here. Mostly from fear as Doggo.
Yep, you should be in fear, but he flashes over, but they get the flash, they'll move backwards. Willer trying to go 1v2, and honestly, I think he could do it. He's feeling it, he's looking for it, he's going in, but he will fall. While that was all happening, the Nexus was being taken down. And that's Hanwha Life getting themselves to within 1 game of putting themselves into the group stage.
That one hurt to watch. That one was painful. I mean, honestly, the Kled didn't even finish his tier 2 boots. That was the safest.
Walking around with some brown bags in his feet.
Yeah, at least he had a nice little mantle just for the neck, but yeah, it wasn't quite working out. And again, the drafts, I can understand it's going to be tough for you're bringing in the top laners. They're not going to have the big champion pools coming in towards the mid lane, but it's just unfortunate that when you're looking at already what has been drafted coming through for Hanwha, that we're getting these like continuous short range comps into long range comps, and it's coming back to bite Beyond in so many of these fights.
And of course, Beyond, they're just throwing stuff at the wall. You cannot blame them right now. You have to try something, and it is what it is. Hanwha, we knew coming into this, there was no if, buts, or maybes. They were going to be the stronger team. Beyond needed to dig deep, pull something out of them, but I don't know. It's just going to have to be what it is. I guess there's only so much we can say about it. And while we ready up for the next game, we're getting the chance to see what it's like playing on the World's 2021 stage, brought to you by Oppo.
I think I was a bit nervous and excited before I go in stage, but after we go in game, it went away and we just beat our opponent.
The stage was looking great. It was I really got the world's atmosphere, and it felt great to crush both our opponents today.
This ain't where the legends come from. You know what a hero looks like. Other people on fire, fire. Maybe it's time they meet their dragon. 'Cause if I gotta break it all down,
on to the State Farm Analyst Desk, where HLE moves on to match point and are now just one win away from locking in the world's group stage. And it was, again, quite convincing, I think we have to say. I want to take a look at the draft because Emily said this is just HLE's bread and butter. For people who are not as don't know that much about, I can't find the words, HLE, why is this the bread and butter Hanwha Life comp?
So, I mean, I think that it's just stuff that they're going to be really comfortable with. Chovy's Azir is something that we've highlighted as just an insanely strong pick. Picking the Vayne into this is, let's just say, incredibly risky, just because there's so much displacement in CC for against that Vayne. So it pretty much stops a lot of what she wants to do. And I just thought it was something that they could move around with ease. Like Willer, who we're going to talk about later, actually did a really good job, I thought, of communicating with his lanes, which is something he's previously struggled with on the Lee Sin, so that gave him a lot of agency. I just thought it was a draft that highlights the strengths in their solo laners, and now I know Goldberg's like really itching to talk about lane matchups, because we were talking about it a lot behind the scenes.
When I initially saw them, I thought to myself, you know what, it's not too bad. You can have the range of a Kennen mid into the Seer, and you can try and match it. You won't match him on wave clear, but at least you'll have a champion you can roam with out towards the side lanes. They'll have that good team fighting. You can have the Kled in towards the Javan. It'll be fine. But then they swapped it around, and it's just kind of like, wait, now you just pick Kennen into Javan, and you have a Seer into Kled, where Kled just can't do anything. So you just, congratulations, you played yourself.
Maybe the same thing can be said for the bot lane, because, you know, we had a hopeful sign for Doggo. Didn't end up getting the first blood, but of course HLE immediately responded.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think the big thing here is we've been talking about the Amumu support and how people have misplayed the 2v2 with it. And I think this is kind of a clear-cut example that Beyond Gaming were able to capitalize on.
Me and Emily is kind of theory crafting this lane as well with the Amumu, because it's a little bit of a misconception with it, to the point where it's not a blind pickable champion. Like, Leona can actually match you level 1. Just because you have those two bandits touch doesn't mean you can withstand the pressure you get of Aftershock Leona, the 4-second cooldown on the Q, and that's why they were able to get this kill in the first place.
But then they send 3 people there, and the TP is late, so
the
they
curse
say...
of winning lane sucks.
Yes, the curse of winning lane. This is what you get. And then we also saw Hanwha Life very targeting the top lane, and Morgan having a dream of a time up there as Jarvan.
I think that is also one of the things when you finally pick the Kennen into this state. Like, on Beyond Gaming, they're putting a lot of attention down towards the bottom lane. So once this Kennen is put in a position where Morgan has been able to establish a push in towards himself, there's nothing you can do. And you can also see Willard able to punish this. First time around, they get his flash. Afterwards, super easy just to come in here and go for the alley-oop together with the Javan here, because there's really nothing you can do in this matchup. And that's also why I was a bit disappointed to see the Kennen go up there.
And I definitely want to highlight Willer again, right? Because this is a player that we've really criticized for going as far as to say that Chovy is the second jungler or possibly the first jungler for this team. And I thought he had a really great game. So we're going to see him come out of this team fight super, super well. But the most important thing for me from him was that it seemed like he was finally communicating with his lanes a lot better. And obviously, as Goldberg already touched upon, he had some really strong lane matchups to play around, but that's a great sign of life for Hanwha going forward against stronger opponents.
I don't know if the communication is there. Morgan just straight up robbed him of his pentakill there. I don't know if the communication is that key in this specific scenario, but Willer
we have to shift it to Morgan. That's not Willer's fault.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Good point. And I know people will say, yeah, of course, but the caliber of people and teams they will be up against will be higher. Yeah, but you can only beat who's in front of you, right? So you can only take it as a positive that Willer had a fantastic game here and was looking good. Beyond Gaming has chosen red side for game 3, so no changes there. I think, yeah, trying to keep that trap card open is good, but yeah, it does look like there's not a lot of life left in them, despite them. They're trying to make the plays, right? But it just doesn't seem to land.
I definitely think the red side is the place for Beyond Gaming to go, because it allows you to try and take control of some of these solo laners if you have the counter pick available. You don't need to worry about Doggo too much. He's doing fine for himself, as we've already seen in the 2v2. It's really just to see how do we actually stabilize ourselves on the top side of the map.
Yeah, I think it's really key. What red side does give you as a strength in the draft is that you can try to focus on counter picking those solo laners. And, you know, they kind of did, and then the lane assignments were not what we expected.
Yeah.
So like, you know, going into this game, obviously this is kind of a high risk, high reward comp. Did not pay off. I really want to see them get as strong and stable laning matchups for their solo laners, because that is a part of the map that they need to stabilize.
We'll see. Clear-cut work out for Beyond Gaming if they want to stay in the series. And we'll be back at the analyst desk for picks and bans in just a few minutes as HLE are on match point. Welcome back, my lovelies, to the State Farm Analyst Desk, where we are covering picks and bans for Game 3 between Hanwha Life Esports and Beyond Gaming. Up against it for Beyond, they have to win 3 games in a row, but I've got news for you. They've done that before. In fact, they did it yesterday versus Galatasaray. But I think they have a bit of a taller order here if we look at it.
I mean, you
Yeah.
are
I'm an optimist.
Well, optimism is needed for the Beyond Gaming roster. I think the difference is last time when they were in this position, they had clear mistakes that was coming out, where it was more team-related in terms of the setup, in terms of where they were. I'd say they've fixed those issues going into today. Your problem now is that you're having trouble matching the individual talent in the laners of Hanwha Life.
Yeah, and I mean for Hanwha, like, you don't have to change anything,
No.
right?
No.
Like, I assume that they'll pick the exact same rotation of bans, which is like removing the Lilia, removing the Xin Zhao, and then making sure that you know, Doggo can't have the Lucian. They don't I feel like they're in a perfectly comfortable position. They don't have to change anything.
Let's then talk about the Beyond Gaming draft, who are on the red side. Again, what I heard before was that, in fact, the picks were not the problem, it was the lane assignment. So would you be happy if they run it back but have the correct lane assignment?
So
I still think Vayne is too risky.
Okay.
yeah, I was going to say, so high risk, high reward was the name of the game there, and it was a little bit too risky on that end. I was actually quite surprised to see them not go for the Aphelios instead. I thought that it was something that they had success with, but just Hanwha was going to disrespect and just let through to them, but they opted in for not going for it, and I'd like to see Doggo has that stable again, because I do feel like it is the best champion he has in his entire toolkit.
Yeah, and we see bans going through. Surprise, surprise! It's Lucian, Jinzhou, and Lilia again for HLE.
Ooh.
And then, okay, so Chovy earned the Azir ban, which is very interesting to me because it means they did not take out the Aurelia or the Kiana.
Exactly, so it's two strong solo laners we finally get to see on Hanwha Life, and I wonder if they now prioritize that to the extent that we have seen earlier. We know that Hanwha Life has loved to run it back with two AD laners, have an AP jungler, and just pair it up nicely with that, you know, different magic and AD damage to come through in the composition.
Yeah, and obviously we already see the Aurelia coming through, presumably for Morgan. I mean, they can flex it, and again, the reason why I actually really want to highlight flexing is just because with PK and Leong both in, I still am looking to see, you know, maybe they'll swap up some of those lane assignments. Would not be surprised to see, yep, BYG locking in the MF. She's been the most picked and banned champion here, and the highest priority ADC.
But
It wouldn't surprise me to see then that we start looking for Leona already, just because you know how volatile this champion is just in its own right. And I do actually think that just in terms of blind picking a power pick, it feels a bit better to go for, especially when you already have the misfortune. There's really not a lot of counters for this champion, but we all have often seen AD carries with a jungle rotation, and it seems like that's what we're going out on again. And I'm not too against it for Husha. I feel like he has shown the individual talent that he has been able to display as a jungler. A bit here, talent is one of these champions that's great for utilizing your own jungle pressure as an individual, but also the mobility you get on this champion allows you to have a better effect on your laners. For example, if you want to play fast for Doggo.
Yeah, and the flip side to that, right, is that you want pushing solo lanes, so which is gonna be hard, just given the skill difference, honestly, like if we're being completely honest. So I'm wondering if they are gonna go for the Ornn here, just because it is PK's most played champion. It's something he's super comfortable on, and it is locked in. So prioritizing that for PK changes this draft completely for me, because now I'm very curious, and you and I talked about this, like put Liang mid, have him deal with Chovy because he has a better understanding of lane assignments, put PK on Ornn. What do you think, Goldberg?
I mean, we were talking about it, so obviously I do agree. And nice rotation to come out here. It's actually interesting to see them now be like, you know what, we're going to try and remove some of these AP magic damage dealers in the mid lane instead, because Tryndamere is still a champion that is up, but we know Liang has played Tryndamere already. They could be looking for Trynd here, and you just say, screw the AP ratios, we don't care, we're just going for it as a takeaway here. But it's going to be interesting, because Hanwha Live already have a top side that's quite AD heavy. Obviously, there is some magic damage in the Kai'Sa, in the Aurelia, and we've already seen Hanwha Live run back a full AD composition, so something that can still be looked towards.
are we a bit afraid for Beyond that it's such a playmaking heavy composition so far coming out of Hanwha Life that just seem like they want to destroy them?
I mean, it's not too bad just yet. The only problem I see right now is that if you don't get rid of the Braum here, there we go. Because I was going to say, this support has so much value coming into the Misfortune, coming into the On, and if you want to 4-pick a Leona, then the Braum just has to get taken away. It just has too much value. So this is quite telling to me that you are in fact looking for that Leona.
And we already touched upon how both of us really like Leona as like the top tier support here. I actually think a Mumu support is probably stronger than what we've seen, and we've seen a lot of forced playmaking or like misunderstanding of the early matchup. But even in the past game, we did see that once the Amumu support gets going, I thought it looked really good. I do think they are going to go 4-pick Leona here for sure, though, based on just that Braum ban.
Yeah, but just to, I know we're still in draft, but just to chime in on that Amumu support pick as well. It's just
okay, never mind. Completely wrong.
It's going to be the Alistar instead, and that does mean that, I mean, there's loads of champion you can pair up with a Kai'Sa to keep her safe throughout the laning phase, because the engage of Alistar, quite easy for a lot of champions to actually immobilize. So yes, you have the Gragas that's already been hovered, Thresh is another one, even Janna, if you want to go for enchanters, is something. In the past did you go into the Alistar. I'm not expecting to see that, I'm just saying there's a lot of variety of champions that can be used to stop the Alistar here.
Okay. The Grog is coming in, and I'm curious to see where that goes again.
It's going
because
bot.
I think it. I actually. So I agree. Like, but yeah, okay. And then Orianna for Chovy. I like this a lot. It's again like just something that I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, how are HLE gonna play this out?
Now, okay, so I saw the Orianna, and I thought to myself, maybe Liang want to challenge now on a champion like Tryndamere, because he does fairly well into control mages
the mid-orb.
with the sustain that you get. I mean, no, so it's not actually mid-on.
It isn't?
Because PK is sitting in the mid lane, and he's doing this
But
to
he's
troll all
gotta
of you,
go top.
and he's
He's
gonna
gonna
go
go top.
I promise you, he's just sitting in this mid lane for the troll.
I was thinking of Shades of Doomby. That's all I was thinking about. However, I mean, interesting choices across the board. I think what I'm hearing is a lot of love for the HLE comp once again, and for Beyond Gaming, slightly better choices than the last one. How do you think they will do in this game?
I mean, so they have the front line, right, which is the most important part. I still think Talon is probably going to have a hard time because you won't have pushing solo lanes, so he's going to have to play around the bot side. But I mean, this is complete comfort for HLE still. I think they'll be fine.
I think there's a lot of pressure on Kino, the fact that you need to get Doggo ahead, but now you have a support in a disadvantageous matchup. I think that can make the game really hard and difficult for Beyond Gaming once you start getting that level 6 through for the Misfortune.
Can I just say this was one of my favorite picks and bans, I think,
It was so fun.
ever. Just the insight that you guys gave, as well as the laugh sometimes at some of the choices. Really, really great stuff from you. And we're going to go over to our casters because the teams are already on the Rift for Game 3. So Oshin and Dagda, take it away.
Thank you so much, Shocks, Emily, and of course Big G on the desk.
Leave the man alone.
No! I could think of worse things to call someone as a calling Big G, but we are jumping onto the Rift, very zoomed in, as we wait to see exactly how it all kind of pans out. But like they said on the desk, it is pure comfort for Hanwha Life. Every single one of these things we have seen these guys absolutely pop off on. And for Beyond, do you believe in miracles? Do you?
I don't know. It's going to be a tough one. I mean, looking at this, right? You've got great winning lanes coming through for a lot of what you have. Sorry, great winning lanes in solo lanes, looking across for Hanwha, where you got the push for Chovy. You got Morgan, who should, at least in the early stages, be able to control this matchup against Leong. And it really feels like, again, Beyond, if they can hold out, maybe, but this is still going to be incredibly tough to try and operate this 1-4 composition.
Well, let us know what you guys think about this game. Of course, your cheers, your tears, what your analysis is with hashtag Verizon 5G all chat. Curious to see what you guys can say, and if you have any thoughts, you know, maybe about that pentakill that was stolen. Stolen, Dagda.
In broad
daylight. He was robbed. Okay, well, come on. I'm done with that now.
You wouldn't steal a car. You wouldn't steal a pentakill.
You wouldn't steal a bear. You wouldn't download a bear. But speaking of now coming into down low, looks like Hanwha Life have downloaded how this level 1's going to go. Is they're going to go straight in a 1v3. Sorry, 4v3 as they go in onto Kino. He might be forced to flash away. He does get ignited. Blue Buff is going to find himself in a little bit of a journey, find out who he is inside, but gets himself back into the pit, and that's going to be Willer starting off with this blue steel.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you got to go back home to find who you truly are, and that's exactly what happened to the Blue Buff. Now Husha is going to be controlling at least the Wolves, moving back up over to this top side, but I want to see what Willer's path is going to be, right? Because obviously you can move back in towards your own side, go for this 3-buff start, but you do want to try and at least control that top side. And especially when you've got Morgan and Chovy, you have push in the mid and top lane. It's going to be really difficult for Husha to find those opportunities to cross the river safely.
Yeah, and you still have, even though, yes, you did use the Ignite from Vista in that bot side, you still have the Exhaust on Def, so the idea of getting a kill or a summoner trade, not really there. You will have the level 2 hit first here by Def. They'll go straight in onto the belly bot, but a nice little pound on the ground keeps the bot lane of Beyond safe for the time being.
And you have to be so careful here as Doggo and Kino, right? You've already burnt the flash onto the Alistar. You know that it's a split map because Willer's already gone in towards the top side, so Unfortunately, taking a bit of a beating here for Beyond Gaming in these early stages. We'll have to see if they can try and find ways for Husha to get into these lanes and bring themselves into a better spot.
I gotta call it out though, PK this time around going towards that mid lane. We obviously saw him in top the last two, and this time around they're saying, look, you're the Ornn, you don't need a massive economy, you just need to survive, which in fairness to Beyond, that's what they've done the last few times. But now Husha, seeing if he can maybe sneak on the Chovy here. Not a lot of mana onto the Orianna right now. Will just push himself over the wall and see if he can maybe find out where this blue buff is. And they will find now both junglers here on this top side. There is push in the top side here for Beyond. So a bit of a trade happening on, but there's Sonic Wave going to land. Willer trying to take this one down. He smites down for a little bit of health, but recognizes the Fiora roaming in is not the fight he wants to take.
Yeah, it still means though at least Husha will get one of these Scuttle Crabs. So it's not like he's going to end up losing both his blue and the Scuttles on both sides, which was kind of one of my worries here. But actually going to try and make his way back in, so still trying to be a nuisance here.
I mean, they don't know that he doesn't have Smite, and he knows that Willard doesn't, so Willard is not aware that there was a Smite difference right there, so just seeing if you can maybe just kite this one out is going to be a full-on chase for this blue buff. He goes in, it goes over to Willard, and that's going to be the 1v1 taking off right now. Flash, though, I don't know if that's worth your flash.
Yeah, I mean, just give up the blue. You already got that one on the bottom side. Go towards your wolves, but I think he was a bit scared of how much he might lose on this top side. So, I mean, nice job from Husha, right? Playing off of Liang's pressure on the top side to actually gain this back. The only thing is, when you look at the CS difference, right? Because you had this Fiora trying to play off to the side, now lost that push in the top save, but should be able to pick up a good amount as this wave crashes.
Already some early game shenanigans in the good words of Munchables as we come into these early stages. And honestly, it's kind of what I want to see from Beyond. You got to throw things at the wall. You got to see what sticks. You got to just try and put Hanwha Life off kilter if you're going to, in some way, shape, or form, come out with a W here. Because right now, you no more excuses, no more, you know, lives. Yeah, you've nothing left. You have to win.
And I think the biggest thing here is, again, keeping your eyes on this talent, right? Because PK will get shoved in. Liang will be able to fare reasonably okay in the top side. I want to see if Husha can get in towards this bot lane and set up Doggo once more. Because the big issue, obviously, Gragas here does really well against the Alistar, being able to deny that engage tool. But if you can find these moments where Dev takes that step too far forward, where he's low in health like this, that can open up moments for Husha to find success.
Yeah, well, looks like exactly what he talked about. He's going towards that bot side. There is a ward, though, that spots him out, and Willer is here, so both junglers going to find themselves. But now Husha, I need to be a bit careful, buddy. He has flash available to him. There's no flash on the Lee Sin. They might be able to turn this one around. They have the rest of the bot lanes there. Hanwha Life thinking about it, but not fully committing to getting onto that jungler.
And I like that from Beyond. They just back off. They know that they don't have the flash on Kino just yet. About another minute before that one comes back up. So they decide to wait until Kino has that, and they can always rinse and repeat. So keep your eye in 2 minutes' time as Leon forced to flash.
Yeah, he had to flash. If you're getting up those stacks and you're passive alongside the Conqueror, you are just in a bad spot. But now here we go. The Ornhorn used into the mid lane. Chovy forced to flash. And PK, I gotta say, so far, this laning phase from the two subtle laners much better than game 1 and 2.
Yeah, you can see it's far closer here. And again, Leon, a little bit behind, but he's got a big wave that's about to crash. So keeping Hanwha at within arm's reach, and now you're like 400 gold behind. It's not a huge amount. Hush has now got 2 lanes he can look to play around with Chovy, not having access to that flash. Whereas when you look at the bot side as well, you can always try and make that play onto the bot lane.
Well, with no Ornhorn available, but there is a flash gone from Chovy. You will take that trade now. Hush, seeing if you can maybe do something back into this bot side. Chovy is roaming down. We're going to pick up a bit of a honey fruit to get some mana back into his system, but then maybe they look for a dive in this bot side. You do have the Ignite available for Kino, and he would have the Aftershock, but he doesn't feel it right now. Husha just going to walk himself back up and realize that the Orianna is probably in the vicinity.
Yeah, unfortunately, no level 6 for Kino. It's going to be a while before he gets that one, so not going to be able to go too heavily on towards the dive, but just making sure you're able to crash this wave successfully as Doggo. I want to see them reset, though, see if they can look for a push on this bot side once more, and then try and play towards the Rift Tower, because if you can get Doggo his level 6 and try and use it at the Rift Tower, that could be one way for Hanwha to abuse the fact, hey, Chovy isn't going to have too much damage in these early stages, and Deft can't roam up to facilitate that play.
Now, we are going to see junglers on the top side, but we got ourselves the hashtag Verizon 5G all chat from FBX Shatter. It's going to be ATC Shatter. Excuse me. Love the Hanwha Life comp, but let's see if Big will strike back. He believes, they believe, excuse me, they believe in the comeback. And like we said, it's all on Doggo, but the Misfortunes had a fantastic time this tournament, so has been shown to be a very priority pick and could put out an absurd amount of damage even in the late stages.
Yeah, and I mean, it's trying to control this bot lane, trying to see if you can play around this beyond, but unfortunately not going to happen. And also we were talking about, hey, let's see if they potentially roam up towards this Rift Tower, trying to use the fact that Doggo should be able to reset first, but Deft actually gets a really nice reset timing as well, so he's back in the lane to contest it. So unfortunately Beyond not being able to play towards these objectives, but Beyond?
Leon going against Morgan, but there is a jungler here, and there's no jungler for you, so it's going to be a 2v1. Going to have the riposte, but first blood going over to Willer.
Willer in a really good spot there, and again, reading the map right, knowing that Rift Herald's just up, so trying to see if they can make that play top to get this first objective for themselves. Kino had made his way up, but it's too little too late, and Halmaz will secure the objective.
You can see now, knowing that they have the topside pressure, Depp feels confident to go in with the killer instinct. Misses the W though, which is going to stop a lot of that damage. You can almost see that he probably would have killed him had he landed that ability. And now that's your exhaust down, that's your ultimate down. Deft went for a play, didn't quite work out.
I mean, not the end of the world though, right? Because you just end up using the killer instinct, you get a ton of damage down, and this opens you up now if you want to try and make some play over towards the dragon. Now, Hushin is here, but honestly, with the pressure bot and also Chovy going to be able to clear this wave mid, I wouldn't want to touch this.
I mean, Husha and PK are around. They both have their ultimates available to them, and Willer's going to go in, he's going to get knocked up, and they're going to fully commit to this one. They flash in on top of him, he flashes away. They will get the knock up onto him, but an immediate respect here, and Beyond, they're starting to push some buttons.
Yeah, it's just sad that they're not actually able to close out these kills, right? Like, you end up jumping onto the Lee Sin, ton of mobility, but you're investing flashes, ultimates, and Hamwa still here, safe on the spot side, can actually clear out the Krugs as well, so there's just nothing that Big can do as they crash this big wave.
You do have the Unbreakable Will here for Kino, so if he takes the turret aggro, going to try and jump on the Deft, who has got flash, uses it immediately, has to respect the Vista, trying to see if he can make something happen himself. The explosive cast could just disperse everybody. There we go, going to try and fully commit to it, but the minions are in your way, Vista. You cannot belly bop into the face of the misfortune with them.
I think he's just trying to clear out the wave, like rightfully kind of looking at, hey, where the hell is PK? He's left mid lane, maybe looking for some sort of dive, so just trying to soften up the blow that could have gone into the bottom lane, and it means that Hanwha are still safe. Willer is responding well to all that pressure bot side, but getting the invade onto the top lane, keeping Morgan safe, who's slowly but surely opening up the CS lead in the top side.
Yeah, able to get the CS lead, of course has that assist as well, so 700 or so gold in that top side, and as well, just that 700 gold equals a, Executioner's Calling. That extra bit of healing reduction going to be huge, as now the jungler is going to try and fight this one off, but you're Hanwha Life and you have Chovy in the mid lane, you have perma push and perma priority, there's no way PK could help you out.
Yeah, I mean...
Oh, as I say that though, Chovy getting ignited. So we're going to see Willer just jump in as well. The shockwave goes down, lands onto one. Hush is still very healthy, up to about half HP. We can see in the picture-in-picture. Bot lane being pushed all the way back as Deft, with no summoners, has to respect the misfortune who used the bullet time.
But this is so much better, right? I mean, Beyond Gaming, we're 10 minutes into the game, and this is the closest gold lead that we've had throughout this series. Now, it's still being traded on the bot side for the mid lane, but honestly, it's not the end of the world for Beyond Gaming, right? You want Doggo to be your big carry alongside the Fiora side lane, so getting gold there is going to work wonders, whereas you're splitting it between Willer and Chovy, who, Chovy, if you can get to the late game, yes, would be huge, but Beyond Gaming are trying to win these team fights before Chovy gets to that 3-item mark.
Sorry, I just looked at Willer and Chovy's gold just accelerate massively before my eyes. So, like you said, the jungle mid combination going to be the big key here for Hanwha Life, but Beyond, they are only a little bit far behind. They was very close. Now they're 2,000, gold in the deficit. So they have to try and be a bit more proactive. They have to try and get themselves onto the map and make it back up.
Yeah, and the big thing here is that, like, Chovy, when we get towards team fights, is actually going to have a pretty difficult time in finding big key ultimates, right? Because you're going to have Ornn who's playing that front line. You got the Talon's going to be playing off sides. I doubt we'll actually see Leon trying to join in for a lot of these fights. So you end up in a situation where you don't really have the range to get on towards Doggo when he's ulting. So you're hitting onto two big tanks in Kino and PK. Maybe you save it for Hushin. And we're not going to see a lot of these, in theory, big shockwaves unless Beyond Gaming misposition.
Now Willer, with that completed Gore Drinker, will have the number of Husha. Husha rightfully places a ward. By your wards, ladies and gentlemen, as we now see an engagement on the spot side. It's going to be Kino taking a lot of damage. He's ignited down as well. There's a lot of true damage coming out. We're going to see a great explosive cast on the Doggo, who's exhausted immediately. You do have Willer off to the side, but they're not quite able to land anything just yet. Good trades here for Hanwha Life, and they got Chovy roaming.
Yeah, Kino's super low, and not having that ultimate means they're going to have to back away from this turret completely. So, nice play from Hanwha. They don't get the kills, but they get exactly what they needed.
Yeah, they get the pressure. They got themselves
TP
pushing
behind
Jungle off. TP coming in, though. That's PK. You're only joining the fight now. He's going to see the Ornhorn coming in, but Kino trying to keep himself alive as long as possible. Bounce House goes down onto Willer. Deft is underneath the tower. That's a good bullet time coming across the side of Hanwha. They are not able to help out Willer just yet. We're going to see the jump over, but Willer is just stronger. Has the Gore Drinker of a passive and active, keeping himself sustained. And now Doggo and PK trying to see if they can just keep this wave away, keep this turret on their side because they know that Hanwha are hungry.
I mean, they're still trying to go for this. Morgan's doing a great job on top side of keeping Liang interested as well, so he's not able to use that TP advantage to come down. So all said and done, Hanwha back away. Turret plates, kills, Dragon, well executed by Hanwha.
And you use so much on the side of Beyond Gaming as well, so you don't gain a lot from it. Yes, you trade back a kill, but unfortunately for you, it wasn't onto the misfortune. Yes, it's on the Husha, but we said it time and time and time again, you need Doggo ahead.
It's unfortunate there that, again, Hanwha, their game plan for this series, put Doggo down, put him behind, make sure that he's the one that's feeling the hurt, and we're getting to see it here once more, right? You already got him, Doggo, right the way back from this turret. Now, honestly, I think Beyond Gaming do a really good job of setting up this play, and shout out to Kino, because with that health bar and Alistair, I would not have thought of going for this play, but you see it here, right? Gets that headbutt over the wall to set up Willer into the wrong spot, and it actually gives them a little bit of control, gives them the opportunity to find these plays, but Hanwha, death goes down, but Willer, too big, too much damage coming through from that shockwave, and Husha just doesn't have the Core Drinker yet to actually be able to heal back up.
Yeah, just having that sustain was so big for Willer, and you do know that one fizzled out right towards the end. It's now a 3,500 gold lead for Hanwha Life. They got themselves the first dragon of the game as well. And they're going to keep pushing up. I will say, though, you have gotten in the Iceborne Gauntlet, or excuse me, not the Iceborne Gauntlet, the
Frozen Fist.
Frozen Fist, thank you so much. The Gore Drinker, and now the Gale Force for Doggo. So you are picking up these big one-item spikes. You just got to try and find an opportunity to use them. Frostfire Gauntlet, that's what it is.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. I just wanted to say that it was there in my head, you know, alongside the
Is
other
Frozen
thousands.
Fist is the upgraded one, is it? I don't know. Look, we're going to leave that behind
We'll
the
get
past.
there
It's
when
in
we
the
get
past.
there.
Nobody forget it. All right, whatever. But moving on, I think, yeah, I want to see more of the opportunities for Beyond to make things happen. I would love for them to try and find these like fights in corridors like this, because think of like Ornotes, you know, Doggo putting in the misfortune ult, you end up like tearing through a lot of the health bars, and you make it really difficult for people like Dev to try and position, but Shockwave goes wide.
Does go wide, but the rest of Hanwha Life are here. PK looks like he's just going to give up his life to save his jungler and say, look, I'm overextended. We got bot lane turret. Kill for a turret. It still feels in favor of Beyond, but with the Rift Herald going down now towards this top side, it's going to be very difficult to make that stick, as we now get the Vanguard's edge going in. Morgan has to back away, though, because he was tanking the turret aggro. We're going to see a nice little flash away. There's not really a lot you can do. Husha is here on top of Morgan, but I don't know if you want to take this fight right now. He goes straight into the invisibility. He's trying to turn this one around with the Gore Drinker. He flashes away. He's got the rake down. It's all these burning of summoners, and it ends up being a 2-for-0 in favor of Hanwha Life.
It's a flash and a dash, but at the end, it's Husha's blood that splashes across the Summoner's Rift, and now Hanwha, they're the ones that are trading up in towers. Mid lane, Doggo!
Oh, the Gale Force just brings him underneath the turret, so Willer needs to respect the distance there. So Doggo able to keep himself alive, but mid-tier 1 and 2 goes down. Top tier 1 goes down. He's just losing on all sides, and Hanwha Life, they're picking up the gears.
They're picking up the pace massively, and you can see it reflecting that gold, right? Chovy, massive. Willer, massive. A 7,000 gold lead creeping up there for Hanwha as Deft will finish off this tower. And Beyond, you held on for a long, long time, but it just feels like Hanwha are just that step beyond what you can do.
Gonna get bot tier 1 as well, but maybe they look for a TP, or actually never mind, they're gonna look for the Ornhorn and going on the Chovy, who flashes the complete other direction. Husha trying to jump in onto him, gonna try and jump over the wall, parkour, parkour. As we can see, Def now going in with the killer instinct on the backside of this. Husha just cannot sustain. They won't be able to catch out Chovy on this Orianna, and he's still as safe as a house.
And look at the rest of the map, right? Hanwha shove in mid, so now you gotta go reset his Beyond to go get it. You gotta go deal with top wave, so Hanwha get these nice resets. They're coming back out onto the map. You're looking at like the dragon in a minute and a half, which will be the second one. You're gonna have a Rift Tower that'll be coming up fairly soon, or actually he's already taken from Willer, which means that they'll be able to pop that fairly soon up into the top lane, get that tier 2, as they just let Morgan split push on bot side.
The running out of options here, Beyond. You cannot really wait. You're not really going to win on the silence like you just mentioned. You just have to try and get levels into PK, get gold into Doggo, and try and just find some kind of miracle fight. You are already, I know it's only 17 and a half minutes into this game, but you're already looking at that doomsday scenario where you just, again, like you said, throw a Hail Mary and hope to God there's a receiver down the end of the field.
Yeah, and look, you can kind of see it now, right? Hush and Doggo moving up here. You don't usually want to commit your AD carry alongside your mid laner, but in this scenario, they're just desperate for something. Ward spot them out.
They gotta go. Morgan does not have flash, does have the Vanguard's Edge though, and the flawless duet should he want it. There's going to be the bullet time used to just try and keep him away, but a lot of CC makes it a bounce house. But look at the health he gets back with that core drinker. They finally get the shutdown, but while this is happening, Liang, he's left to defend by himself. There's Shelly pushing the bot side. Your base is falling apart.
I mean, that was the desperation. That's the Hail Mary, and unfortunately, it's a fumble, and it's an interception too. Beyond now, starting to move in towards this bot side. They managed to crack it open, the turret. The Rift Herald doing its work, and Hanwha, they'll back up and say thank you very much. Our dessert as well? Yeah, that'll be a dragon for us.
It's just so much. Hanwha playing this map so cleanly, and now with everyone backing away, they're going to teep up with Liang into that top side. Just try and get some kind of gold. Important to recognize there was a little bit of shutdown going go over to Doggo, so he is getting towards that Essence Reaver, but you're losing so much in the rest of the map. It just becomes so difficult to try and trade up.
And it sucks for Beyond Gaming, right? I mean, you're trying to deal with Hanwha, but you're going up against so many veterans in this team. You're going up against a team that a lot of people weren't really expecting to be here, but making that run in regionals and coming so close yet now being so far. Hanwha, they look like they're about ready to try and close this one out.
They are one game away, one Nets explosion away from joining the rest of their LCK brothers and sisters in the group stage. They are doing a very, very good job right now of just making sure that one happens. 6,500 gold in the favor of Hanwha Live. 2 dragons as well. They've got themselves the stacking. They finally have an Ornn item. It is on Ornn, but it is an item as, again, Beyond started off much better on this, and they got to try and find some opportunities. They got to try and find some windows, but I just don't think Hanwha's going to let them have it.
Yeah, this has been very similar to what we've seen from Hanwha, though, all throughout Plains, right? When you look at, like, their gold per minute, they're, like, second in the Plains, almost averaging 2,000 gold per minute, and we're seeing a very similar story here, right? Not quite at the 2,000 mark, but still very impressive when it comes towards that gold per minute. And Beyond Gaming just haven't been able to keep up. The lanes are in Hanwha's favor, the map state's going in their favor, and now they're trying to collapse onto boss.
They gotta go. They gotta try and take down Morgan, but I don't think they're gonna get the knockup. They do not, and you can see with the Vanguard's Edge, he's pushing all around the field. He's gonna get the W down, but not quite able to keep himself alive. But you've committed 3 members to bot side. Hanwha Live gonna turn onto the Baron. You do have a bullet time and a TP. They're gonna try and go for this contest.
I mean, you're hoping for a miracle steal, but Hanwha, they're already on it. It's already so low.
They're not going to have the Fiora or the Talon, but they're just delaying. Hanwha don't want to flip this. They know that if it goes wrong, this game becomes far more interesting, and they back themselves up. So Beyond, it costs your teleport, but you got to kill, and we take that.
Honestly, I'm surprised that we just didn't see Hanwha go for the engage, right? You know that you've still got Liang and Husha are trying to make it up from top bot side now. As a Talon, you can get there a little bit faster than most people, but they were still a breath away, and unfortunately, Hanwha decide, no, that's not what we want to. Well, I suppose, fortunately for Beyond Gaming, they decide that they don't want to commit to that. It means you get Liang pushing in bot. You don't really lose too much, apart from maybe Kino.
Ooh, the shockwave keeps Kino just on the edge of the wall, wasn't dragged back, so he's able to keep himself alive. You take an ult for an ult, and again, Beyond will take that trade, but now not having that unbreakable will, you may look just to try and go and turn and burn for this Baron. However, there is still a ward, no teleports available. They're going to go jump onto it. They haven't cleared this one yet.
I mean, when have wards stopped them? We've already seen it in the last game that they're more than happy to do this on Vision, but now they're just trying to bait Vista sitting in the bush.
They're sitting in the bush. Vista going to jump in. Flash belly bot there. It's a good ultimate, though. The bullet time keeps everyone away from Husha, excuse me, is now Vista trying to catch on to PK. He's going to slow him down, though, with the dissonance. Liang is here. Now we got the Ornn Horn and the TP coming in. It's going to be Morgan off the backside of this. It's a 2-man knockup. Vista in a little bit of trouble, but Liang just doesn't really have the damage to take him down. He flashes back in on top of him, but he will fall for his greed. And Beyond, they trade one back, and that's going to be their split push. Fiora not available to this. Luckily for them, that's not the person that needed for this fight. But again, Hanwha Life back onto the Baron.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got so much damage here with Deft, Kraken Slayer, having that passive. Willer is going to be working alongside us. Morgan and Chovy, just use this time to zone off beyond gaming. Pusha has been spotted.
He has been spotted. He knows what the health of the Baron is right now, though. 6,000 HP. He's going to have to make a bit of a guess. We can see Chovy and Vista roaming in as the bodyguards. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. They're going to get the shockwave, and it catches him in the animation. He goes down. The Baron is secured. Hanwha Life 10,000 gold, or just shy of it now in the Ascendancy, and they are looking to put the final little licks of paint onto this masterpiece that has been this best of 5.
Yeah, and I mean, very dominant coming through from Hanwha throughout this series, and we're starting to see again laners stepping up. Now we get the play here where it was a nice attempt on the, as we get the Axe replay here, but not really able to find the damage that they want. PK coming in, not able to actually get that big Ornal to set up for people like Doggo. And then Hanwha, they just turn and chase them down.
Yeah, they're just a bit too separated right now. You can see it's kind of a 2v5 with 3 people off to the side because they just can't get anyone in there. Doggo knows that if he walks in through that choke, he's just going to get focused. So he has to back himself away and just doesn't really have the time to set himself up properly for that fight. And like you mentioned earlier, there's going to be a big Baron power play presented by Red Bull coming in now for Hanwha Life.
Yeah, and that's the thing here. I don't know how big this Red Bull Baron power play is going to be because there's not a huge amount left on the map for Hanwha. They've already taken the bot inhibitor turret. You've already taken most of the tier 2s apart from that top lane, and Hanwha, they can just look to shove in and make the most of it.
Yeah, we'll see what's going on now as the rest of Hanwha now funnel themselves towards bot and mid. They've got 2 waves pushing. Liang is nowhere to be seen. Gets hit by the Sonic Wave, but that turret in the mid lane is pretty much done. Beyond, this is your moment. This is where you have to make your last chance, your last stand. You cannot just let this one go to 1,000 cuts. You have to try and be defiant, but I don't think they're waiting for the perfect engage. Yeah, I was going to say Liang is not there. They're losing their entire base.
I mean, you've got nothing here. Hanwha, they're perfectly fine to just keep pushing. These minions are streaming in beyond now with the TP.
TP going to be coming in. It's going to be on the backside of this fight. They're going to go way deep, all the way down towards the blue buff. As now, 5v5. Here we go. Beyond. Going to start it off. There's the Ornhorn. They're going to knock up Kino to stop the engage on the Chovy. Chovy running away as fast as he possibly can. The bullet time will he'll absolutely squat. And now you're going to try and take this one going. Death gets himself over the wall with the killer instinct. And that's it. You've used everything. You've nothing left in the tank. And the Hanwha Life will very, very easily take you to the cleaners. Back to the Shadow Realm. Back down. Hanwha Life will take absolutely everything from Beyond. And Hanwha Life in a 3-0 will join the rest of the LCK in the group stages.
LCK fans rejoice as one more representative will move on to that group stage. Hanwha, a clean 3-0 today.
And Deft getting his first best of 5 win in 7 years.
I mean, World Championships have not been the cleanest for Deft, but now, well, let's say the happiest for Deft. But now, moving forward once more, we'll have to see if he can continue to break this curse moving on to the group stage.
Fantastic work by Hanwha Life. They had an objective today. They pretty much executed on it, said we're stronger in lanes, we just need to stop Doggo from popping off, and they did just that in almost every single game.
Yeah, I mean, it's the easy game, right? It's something that we have Desk talk about every time we've seen Beyond Gaming is, hey, they're going to go for a lot of these protected Doggo comps. They're going to try and play around the spot side, and we got Willer consistently playing around that bot lane, setting up Deft for success. And when we saw Deft getting a lot of these strong early game AD carries throughout the series, it meant that you just had these great team fights you could lean on alongside your 2 solo laners many names.
The Church of Chovy rejoice. You shall have Chovy going up against Doonby, Showmaker, Baker. He will get his opportunity to show the best, with the best of the best, how good he really is. And for Hanwha, again, you did your job. You did what you needed to do.
Yeah, and I think they did it spectacularly, right? You end up with solo laners looking absolutely fantastic. Chovy once again controlling in that mid lane. Morgan as well stepping up on picks like the Aurelia to actually dictate the pace of that up against both PK and Liang. So I think you can be fairly happy with this performance. And I think for a lot of people that were doubting them going in towards groups, yes, you can still see these issues, but definitely a confident performance.
Yeah, well, that is going to be it for this series and from us. But as we step away, let's take a look at the very first trailer for our upcoming original series, Arcane, which is releasing on Netflix on the 6th of November. I'm excited. I'm excited for that one.
Definitely.
It's going to be fun.
When I was a kid, me and my sister, we played a game where we pretended to chase monsters away. I'd say, no monster's gonna get you when I'm here. Then a real monster showed up. I have to find her.
The world's growing smaller every day. Up there on the surface, the topsiders are leaving the Undercity further behind.
I believe I've discovered something incredible. A way to harness magic through science.
You don't understand what's at stake.
Power doesn't come to those who are born strongest. It comes to those who will do anything to achieve it. Imagining yourself a hero? Then what are you waiting for?
More lives may be lost. The Undercity cannot be controlled.
Then we have to go in by force.
What have you done with my sister?
I'll give her your regards.
This cycle of violence will never stop. She's too far gone.
I have to try.
You've got a good heart. Don't ever lose it. Protect the family.
Are we still sisters?
Nothing is ever going to change that.